Hello, my friends. Leave a comment where you see us and at what time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
We arrived in Havana with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, the air thick with the scent of cigars and exhaust fumes, a vibrant canvas of faded colonial grandeur. Our destination, the Hotel Nacional de Cuba, stood like a proud, aging monarch overlooking the Malecón, its history whispering from every archway and mosaic tile. Despite its undeniable charm, there was an underlying current, an unspoken tension that permeated the city, a subtle reminder of the unique political landscape we had entered. We carried a substantial sum in crisp US dollars, the preferred currency for tourists, carefully tucked away in a carry-on, a decision we would soon come to regret deeply. The exchange rate on the street, whispered by unofficial vendors, was far more favorable than at the official bureaus, necessitating that we keep a fair amount of liquid cash on hand for daily expenses and the myriad opportunities that arose. The hotel's stately exterior promised an escape from the city's complex realities, an illusion we clung to with naive optimism, eager to dive into the romanticized past of this enigmatic island nation. The initial moments were filled with the thrill of novelty, photographing the iconic facade and imagining the legends who once walked these very halls, completely unaware of the chilling encounter that awaited us within its historic yet watchful embrace. Our suite, a testament to bygone elegance, offered sweeping views of the harbor, a picturesque scene bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun. The antique furniture and high ceilings spoke of a different era, a time when luxury was less about sleek minimalism and more about ornate details and lavish comfort. That first evening, after a traditional Cuban dinner and a few mojitos, we returned to our room feeling utterly relaxed and enveloped by the hotel's old-world charm. Before retiring, I meticulously laid out a stack of $100 bills on the dresser, ready for our planned excursion to a local artisan market the next morning, easily accessible and accounted for. It was a habit born of convenience, never anticipating the predatory eyes that might be observing. A fleeting shiver traced its way down my spine as I scanned the room, an irrational feeling of being watched, dismissed as the lingering effects of the long flight, or perhaps the rich Cuban coffee. The old building groaned and sighed with the wind, making strange noises that echoed through the quiet corridors, adding to the almost theatrical atmosphere of our initial stay. We chuckled about the hotel's quirks, oblivious to the insidious nature of the unseen forces that had already begun their subtle infiltration of our private sanctuary, preparing for a violation that would shatter our peace of mind. The morning light, filtered through the heavy drapes, brought with it a sudden jolt of adrenaline. My eyes, still bleary with sleep, instinctively landed on the dresser where I had placed the dollars. They were gone. Every single bill vanished without a trace,
My heart hammered against my ribs as I frantically tore through the luggage, overturned the mattress, and rummaged through every conceivable hiding spot. The room, which I had left so meticulously organized, showed no signs of forced entry. The door was still latched from the inside, the windows securely fastened. It was as if the money had simply dematerialized into the thin Havana air, leaving behind only a gaping void where my sense of security once resided. My partner, roused by my panicked cries, joined in the futile search, a shared disbelief quickly turning into cold dread. The impossibility of the situation was staggering. No one could have entered or exited without leaving a trace, especially not with the doors secured from within. The realization that this wasn't a simple theft, but something far more unsettling, began to creep into our consciousness, casting a dark shadow over the gilded elegance of our historic surroundings. We stood amidst the disarray, two strangers in a foreign land, utterly vulnerable and inexplicably violated. The warmth of the Caribbean sun suddenly feeling chillingly cold against our skin. A knot of frustration tightened in my stomach as we recounted the baffling incident to the hotel staff. The receptionist, a woman with an unnervingly serene expression, listened politely, but offered only vague shrugs and practiced apologies. "These things sometimes happen, tourist," she said, her voice devoid of genuine concern, a subtle undertone suggesting such occurrences were regrettable but inevitable.
When pressed about security cameras or police involvement, her answers became evasive, hinting at bureaucratic complexities and the unique system of their country. She assured us they would look into it, a phrase that resonated with hollow indifference, a clear indication that our predicament was merely a routine inconvenience for them, another footnote in the long list of unexplained disappearances that often plagued foreign visitors. The lack of urgency, the almost paternalistic dismissal of our distress was infuriating. It became clear that in this environment, direct answers were a luxury, and genuine assistance was an even rarer commodity. We were met with a wall of polite unhelpfulness, a stark reminder of our outsider status and the inherent limitations of seeking justice within a state where transparency was often replaced by an opaque facade. The grand lobby, once inviting, now felt like a stage for a silent, unsettling drama, where we, the victims, were merely extras in a narrative we couldn't comprehend or control. Driven by a desperate need for answers, we initiated our own rudimentary investigation. We meticulously scanned the hallways, searching for any telltale signs of surveillance cameras. The polished corridors of the Hotel Nacional, with their ornate detailing and strategic lighting, seemed to defy the presence of modern security. No overt lenses, no blinking lights, no obvious domes, nothing that would suggest a watchful eye. It was as if the building itself held its secrets close, its old-world charm serving as a perfect camouflage for an unseen network. We even ventured to the lower floors, peering into dimly lit service areas, hoping to spot a camera feed or a security hub, but found only quiet, unassuming spaces that offered no clues. The more we looked, the more the absence of visible cameras became unnerving. In a place so renowned and frequented by foreign dignitaries, the lack of overt security measures felt less like an oversight and more like a deliberate design, a system designed to be invisible, pervasive, and utterly untraceable. The grand scale of the architecture, once impressive, now felt suffocating, as if the very walls conspired in our bewildered helplessness. The unsettling feeling that lingered in our room intensified with each passing hour. It wasn't just the absence of the dollars, it was the subtle, almost imperceptible shifts that began to manifest. Tiny discrepancies that gnawed at the edges of our perception. A book on the nightstand, previously closed, now lay slightly ajar, as if someone had idly flipped through its pages. A faint, almost metallic smell, like ozone or stale electricity, occasionally wafted from an unseen source, quickly dissipating before we could pinpoint its origin. These were not the obvious signs of a clumsy thief, but rather the calling cards of a meticulous observer, someone who moved with calculated precision and an intimate knowledge of our habits. The thought of an unseen presence in our private sanctuary, an intruder who could bypass locks and leave no trace, began to warp our sense of reality. Every shadow seemed to lengthen. Every creak of the old building took on a sinister resonance. We found ourselves whispering, constantly glancing over our shoulders, our once comfortable haven transforming into a psychological trap where every moment was tainted by the chilling possibility of an unseen, malevolent eye. The elegant surroundings, meant to provide comfort, now felt like a theatrical set for a chilling drama, with us as unwitting, unwilling actors. The true horror struck when I decided to conduct a thorough, almost obsessive search of the room, fueled by a creeping paranoia. My fingers traced every seam, every fixture, every piece of furniture, searching for any anomaly. It was behind an antique painting, cleverly recessed into the wall, that I found it. A tiny, almost imperceptible lens, no larger than a pinhead, glinting dully in the dim light. It was embedded in what appeared to be a ventilation grate, perfectly camouflaged, almost an organic part of the hotel's aging infrastructure. My blood ran cold. The realization crashed over me with the force of a tidal wave. We had been under constant surveillance since our arrival. Every private moment, every conversation, every gesture had been meticulously recorded, not by a common criminal, but by a sophisticated and omnipresent system. The missing dollars were no longer a mere theft. They were a chilling byproduct, perhaps even a deliberate demonstration of how intimately our lives were being observed. The sheer audacity, the brazen violation of privacy in what was supposed to be a secure, luxurious retreat was truly horrifying. My hands trembled as I stared at the tiny eye, now an emblem of our complete vulnerability, a silent witness to a betrayal that transcended mere financial loss. The discovery of the hidden camera transformed the incident from a baffling theft into a terrifying act of state-sanctioned intrusion. It wasn't a desperate local pickpocket. It was a calculated move by someone with undeniable access and authority, someone who operated outside the realm of conventional law. The money, it became sickeningly clear, wasn't stolen for personal gain in the traditional sense, but perhaps as a means of exerting control, or to gather intelligence, or even as a simple display of power within a system where private property meant little. The lack of forced entry, the precise knowledge of our habits, all pointed to an inside operation, a chilling testament to the pervasive reach of the state. We were no longer simply tourists. We were subjects, our every move recorded, analyzed, and potentially exploited. The hotel, once a symbol of historical charm, now felt like an elaborate surveillance hub, its elegant facade a deceptive curtain behind which unseen operators pulled the strings, manipulating our lives with impunity. The realization that our privacy was not merely compromised, but utterly non-existent, and that our dollars were perhaps just a token payment for being part of an ongoing, unspoken experiment, was a bitter pill to swallow. Our remaining days in Havana were a blur of escalating paranoia and desperate attempts to escape. We tried to check out early, only to be met with a labyrinth of bureaucratic hurdles, unexplained delays, and the subtle implication that leaving prematurely would be inconvenient for the hotel's meticulously planned schedules. The freedom we had anticipated was replaced by a suffocating sense of entrapment, as if the hotel itself had become a beautiful, ornate cage from which there was no immediate exit. Every interaction with staff felt like an interrogation, every polite smile a veiled threat. We felt the weight of unseen eyes following us through the corridors, even outside the room.
The bustling streets of Havana, once so captivating, now seemed to pulse with an oppressive energy. Every corner potentially holding another hidden lens, another silent observer. The iconic landmarks, the vibrant culture, all faded into the background, overshadowed by the chilling realization that our personal space had been invaded with such brazen impunity, and that our options for recourse were virtually non-existent within the rigid confines of this tightly controlled society. We just wanted to leave, to put as much distance as possible between us and the suffocating secret of the Nacional. We eventually managed to secure our departure, but the physical journey home did little to alleviate the psychological scars. The memory of that tiny, unblinking lens, the chilling realization of constant surveillance, became an indelible mark on our consciousness. Every public space, every security camera, every moment of perceived privacy now carries an undercurrent of suspicion. The missing dollars were a tangible loss, but the intangible loss of innocence, of the belief in personal boundaries, was far more profound. We left Cuba not with the romantic memories of a vibrant culture, but with a deep-seated distrust and the haunting echo of an unseen gaze. The experience shattered our understanding of hospitality, transforming the benign concept of a hotel into a symbol of potential intrusion, a place where the comfort of anonymity can be effortlessly stripped away. The warmth of the Caribbean sun, the rhythm of Cuban music, all were eclipsed by the cold metallic glint of that hidden camera, a constant reminder that in certain places, under certain systems, privacy is not a right, but a privilege, easily granted and even more easily revoked, leaving its victims with a permanent, chilling sense of exposure, forever questioning who is watching and why.